Hey, what's up, guys? Node Investor here. Can anybody guess what this chart is? What's going on? Is anybody getting any sleep these days? Man, oh man. It seems like every week it's something new. It's going crazy. So, yesterday we got the bomb. Bitcoin Cash added to Coinbase, to GDAX. And man, it was expected. We all knew it was coming, but not yesterday. That was a surprise, I gotta say. A good surprise, to be honest with you, because I was positioned, and I know there was a lot of Bitcoin maximalists and people hating on the fact that it got on there, and I can understand your point of view, and I get it, but hey, we all saw it coming. The chart was setting up. There was strength, and you maybe jumped on it, maybe you didn't. I would have loved to see certain other YouTubers' face when that happened. But hey, here it is, Bitcoin Cash. We're going to cover it. We're going to talk Bitcoin. We're going to talk Bitcoin Cash. Is Bitcoin dropped? Is it finally bottomed? Is Bitcoin Cash topped? What's happening here? What's going on next? And so let's see. Let's take a look. I'm going to leave the comments up as long as you guys promise to be nice. And I'll try to answer as many as we can get going here. But here's what we're going to do. I'm going to cover the big ones. I'm going to cover Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum, Litecoin, some of my favorites, Neo, and a handful of other names. And I'll leave some time for you guys to suggest some charts that we look at. And I'll kind of give you my thoughts on what do we do going into 2018? What are my thoughts? What's going to be good? What's the overall crypto space looking like? And so let's get to it here. So let's look at Bitcoin first. Let me look at a couple of charts that I've had marked up here, and I will try to clear them out and start all over with you guys here. So if we start with Bitcoin, this is the daily chart on Bitfinex. A couple of things to notice here. I have a fib retracement going from basically peak to peak, the peak right around that $5,500 level up to the most recent top around 19.8. And if we do a just quick analysis on that, you can see the first fib level comes down to that 382 levels at 14.3, give or take. And so far we're marching lower. Are we going to hit that? It's possible. Here today, we're feeling like we want to bounce though, right? So that'd be my first level on the downside. From this move up, that would be a, what are we looking at? 28 or so percent retracement. Not unusual. We've seen Bitcoin do that plenty of times this year, so it's certainly possible. Right now, we've breached below this moving average. Now, there's still time in this daily candle, and so if it can rally back up and close above this 17.2, 17.3 area, that's going to be bullish because we've had this little bit of a decline. That would turn into a big support bar, which would also be a big volume day. And most likely we would start to see some rally in Bitcoin if we can do that. And then we'd be testing the old highs. And that's going to be the key test, right? What happens on the bounce? Is it going to be a weak bounce where volume just kind of fizzles out and then it doesn't really get to the old highs? And if that happens, we could be setting up a double top. And that's worst case scenario, right? Or, well, worst case is we just crash from here and go straight down. But if we jump up here and we have this V-shaped move off the lows, and we have another pointy top here that finishes close to that 19 area or 18.9 or something, and then a quick sell-off, I will be ringing the bells saying that's probably a double top. Most likely we're going to see some extended downside action, meaning we would probably hit this 382 level and maybe even a little bit more if we started to see a big double top here at these levels. And Bitcoin has just had a huge run. And we were waiting for a correction. We had a little correction back here going into the futures date, and then that rallied. This rally here was, it was a big percent move up, but the volume wasn't quite there on the way up. And on the way down here, we're starting to see a lot of selling volume. And Bitcoin Cash is another factor there and all that. So that's what I'm looking at. Let's zoom in a little bit on the charts here. Near term, we're seeing some pretty good strength come in here. The last couple of days, we had this little bit of a double bottom here. I did a nice little bounce trade off of this rally. it pretty much just bounced right into the moving average. That was a good target place to start selling it. You can see on the 4-hour, right into that 17.3, 17.5 area. And that's where I took profits on that trade. It's pulling back in here now. I've just been watching it here. I think it's looking like it wants to hold a little bit of a low here. What I'm liking is you can see this 15.8 area on a closing basis has been holding so far. We've got these long wicks that have come down here recently and some supports coming in, some volume. Are we out of the woods yet? Is that the low? I think we're good for a bounce. I don't know if that's the low. We're a long ways from confirming that. You can see we're just been stair-stepping our way down, making these lower highs, but we're putting in a pretty good little low here. There's a battle happening right around that 16K level, just below it. You can see the RSI is kind of flattening out here a little bit around 40 or so. And so this would be the area to start watching. If you're on the sidelines, right, this is what I'm looking at when I make trades is I'm looking on the sidelines. This is probably a good low risk area because it's tested it multiple times and it's very easy to see where the support level is. So if it starts to break down below 16 on closing basis and these candles come down, then you got to get out of the way, because at that point, most likely we're going to retest this 14.5 or so. And we're close. I mean, from here to that point, it's only another 12% or so. I mean, that's a huge move, but it's not unusual in crypto space. And so keep an eye on these levels. This is what I'm watching here. This is a key support area. So far, it's looking bullish. We've got these big hammer volume, these big volume hammer bottoms starting to show up here. You'll see confirmation when you get back above this 16.7 level or so. If we start to rally, the first test will be this high from yesterday overnight, 17.7, but that'll be a pretty good rally to see. And then ultimately this test right on 18. But I think if we can get some momentum going here, we'll see Bitcoin rally. It's a little bit oversold now, getting to those levels on the daily charts. On the 4-hour, we hit this 30 RSI or so. And right now, the 10 EMA on the downside is the big test, right? That's where the rally continues to fail. And it's very typical. That's like textbook, when something starts to correct, it bounces into that moving average. And that's what we're seeing, just kind of stair-stepping its way down. But once we start to take that out, you'll see a pretty decent rally, and that's going to stay a lot, right? Where does the rally fade? Where do we just keep marching up, or do we pause and make a lower high? That would be no bueno. So let me look at the big picture, right? So I've been talking about. Let me go to my my Bitstamp chart. Where are you? Here we go. So let me zoom out. Been talking about the parabolic curve that was in play for Bitcoin, right? You can see this kind of going back from the beginning of the year. The curve was getting narrower on both the top and the bottom side, right? And we were going parabolic here. We hit this moving average, and I remember saying best thing that could happen is we go sideways for a little bit, and then we can give ourselves time to rally. We did rally, but then we had a little bit of a breakdown. But right now, I mean, this uptrend is barely holding, but it's still intact. And we could still see another leg up, right? If this thing decides to rally from here, it could take out the old highs, and maybe we get the final blow off top here, right? But it's certainly an exponential curve. And so the reason I like to show this, not to put any fear in you, but you got to be cautious because of this curve. These tend to finish in a climactic fashion. They blow off like this. I mean, think about this. Since November, since December, right? Since the beginning of the month, we went from 9K to almost 20K, right? So, I mean, we basically, the whole year's worth of gains, $10,000, we did that in 1 month at the end. And that's very typical of a blow-off move where you get the largest part of the gains at the very tail end of the move. And so what tends to happen is when it finally exhausts itself, enough buyers, there's not enough buyers left, a lot of the sellers start showing up, you'll get a pretty sharp correction to the downside. Is this the beginning of it? It's hard to say, but it certainly could turn into that, right? The volume is there; it's starting to show up. But if we bounce here a little bit, that'll be the tail, the test. If we do that, if we start to really break down, I'd be very cautious at this point. Now, Bitcoin Cash. Let's see here. So the signs were there, guys. We were talking about Bitcoin Cash for a while, this big ascending pattern on the daily chart, the lows getting higher. I started telling people, especially in my group here, I'm accumulating this in my longer term portfolio At this point, Bitcoin Cash was worth about 90% or 9%, 0.09% of Bitcoin. And I just felt it was undervalued, regardless of whether you think it's a scam or a bad protocol or a copy, whatever you think of Roger. I get all that. But we all knew it was going to be added to GDAX ultimately. And my premise was this thing is going to outperform. I didn't think it happened this soon. I thought going into 18, this is going to be one of the big coins, at least in the first couple of months of the year. And I thought we could probably get to 20, maybe 25% of BTC on this thing. We pretty much did that in 2 days, right? We went from 0.097 almost to 0.03 in 3 days. And that was just an amazing move up. Is it done? You know, honestly, it kind of depends on what Bitcoin does. If Bitcoin starts to shoot out of the gate here and have a big rally, this thing's going to pause or at least take a breather. But there's still some technical room left. If this pauses for a day, the RSI is not even on the daily chart overbought yet. And we've seen these crazy pumps in Bitcoin Cash before. So I think there's still potential for some more upside. Now, if we look at the daily chart again, and this is the USD side, right? It is extended. Look how far it is over the moving average. And on the daily side, or on the USD side, it's already hitting 84.85. So that's conflicting a little bit with the BTC equivalent chart. And we are 36, 38% above the 10 EMA, which is the very short-term moving average. And so it's high risk, right? I mean, if you're wanting to buy it here, just understand it's definitely higher risk now, right? If you didn't catch it down at the lows in the 1,000 or the 2,000 range, you're buying at the tops here. Now, what I'm seeing here is potentially a little bit of a double top starting to form. And we'll see in the next 1 or 2 hour bars, we will know for sure if that's what we're seeing here. But you can see we had this peak earlier today. This was pre-GDAX launch. It ran up to 4K, and then it kind of just sat tight. And after the launch, things got pretty crazy. We had the sell-off that came down to about 3,200. We rallied again, finished just slightly lower, 3,900 or so. And now we're pulling in. If this moving average gives right now and we see this start to head down, that's going to be a little bit of a double top. And I think that'll translate into some more correcting here on the 4 hour chart. You could probably see it test, 31, 3,200 again at least. If on the daily chart, this could even come back into the twos, right? Maybe $2,800, $2,900 or so. So I'd be looking for more of a little bit of a consolidation now at this point, just because, yeah, it could keep going. I mean, this thing is, the FOMO is kind of kicking in a little bit, but it's certainly much higher risk right now. And we're going to see how this plays out. Now, it's a little bit of an equilibrium pattern too, right? So you got this low down here, and then you've got the high at 4 and then the lower high. And if this puts in a higher low, then that would set up a little bit of a symmetrical pattern, which at that point could break either way. And if it gives it enough time on the daily and the 4 hour charts, that'll just let the moving averages catch up. My bets would be if this thing bounced around in here and tightened up, we'd break out to the upside. That would be my bet. But again, it's a symmetrical pattern at the top. It could go either way at this point. So that's what I'm looking at on Bcash. But wow, that's all I gotta say. What a freaking move, man. I mean, just from this low here, what did we go up 100% on a $40 billion market cap coin, 133%. Yesterday was crazy when it was just pumping. Talk about hitting the sell button. It was like, wow, bank it. All right, Bitcoin Cash. So that's my thoughts on Bitcoin Cash. I still think you guys got to pay attention to it. I don't think it's a pump and dump and it's going to just fade into the trash bins of the crypto world and it'll go back down to $600 or whatever. I don't expect that to be the case. As much as you Bitcoin maximalists hate to hear that, I think it's here to stay. I'm not saying it's going to take over and be the new Bitcoin, but it's here to stay. All right. Let's see what else we got. So we covered Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. Let's look at Ethereum. How's our good old friend Ethereum doing? It's nice to see it over 800 for a while there, right? It did hit that target, though, that 840, 850. So right now we're correcting a little bit, just like everything else. Let me zoom out a little bit. So we broke out, right? We had that nice breakout over 500. Then we paused here, put a little ascending pattern, broke out, hit the target around 80.50 or so, overshot that a little bit. Pulling in right now, and it's just sitting real tight. If we go to the 4-hour, there's two ways to look at it, right? You see the support, right? There's big shakeouts. That was support right now, but a little bit of a bull flag coming in. I don't like that it kind of tried to rally and then failed just a little bit shy of the old high. It feels like it's trying to start rounding out a little bit here. Not looking strong. Let me just put it that way. Maybe it just consolidates at these levels, but it's not looking as strong as it was, down here when it was still building this upside momentum. The top is just getting very choppy. If you look at it versus BTC, that looks good. It's holding its own versus BTC, right? So it just depends on how you look at it. And that's always the question, right? Are you holding a coin that's outperforming Bitcoin, or are you looking at the fiat value of your accounts and saying, hey, it's coming down in value, right? And I think you got to look at it both ways. At the end of the day, yeah, we want to accumulate more net Bitcoin, but if you're holding an altcoin and let's say Bitcoin drops 20% and your altcoin doesn't at least go up 20%, then you're going down, right? Net loss at the end of the day. So that's why you got to look at those. And some of these, the altcoins, they could certainly outperform Bitcoin. And we've seen that plenty of times here in the last couple of days. There's been some good trades. Quantum, Verge, right? IOTA, EOS, Neo. Is my Neo finally rocking? Because I'm talking about Neo, man. I've been on this for a while, like patiently waiting. Yeah, it's going. All right, Neo's breaking out. It's about dang time. And so that's what you got to consider when you're looking at these charts, the BTC side, the USD side. I look at both because the USD side very often gives us nice bases and setups, and then I'll trade on that when it breaks out. But then I will look at the BTC chart to see where's the next resistance level and so forth. And we'll go from there. But Ethereum versus BTC, it is creeping up and outperforming Bitcoin. So that's nice to see. Litecoin real quick, and then we'll jump to Neo. Let's see here. So Litecoin USD. Man, did you hear that news on Charlie Lee? That was really shocking, I gotta say. I'm not sure I'm still buying the whole conflict of interest crap. I mean, I don't know. That's a good conflict of interest, in my opinion. I mean, if he comes out on Twitter and just starts shilling and pumping his coin, which he does a lot, but it's one thing to do that. It's another thing to like actually promote the project, right? That's good. I mean, friggin' every coin does that. That's the whole idea, right? I mean, promote your thing. It's a project. You want other people to know about it. And yeah, when he sold out, I'm like, all right, man, are you just cashing in and just like you're done financially? You're set. You're gonna forget. I mean, I don't know. That's crazy. Maybe he just bought a bunch of Bcash. I'm kidding. But still, I was really shocked to see that, man. But hey, it's all good. I mean, at the end of the day, if that's what he wants to do, it's his choice. I mean, he's going to profit beautifully from it. And congrats to Charlie, man. He started something very good. But let's see here. Looking at Litecoin. Let's look at Litecoin versus BTC. The chart looks very strong here. It's trying to consolidate here back and forth. You can see if it breaks out here on the BTC chart and almost on the USD side too, right? Above 0.02, basically, if it starts to close above that, you could see another leg up. I mean, this consolidation has been nice. You had this huge volume rally, and then the pullbacks. Look at the selling bars. They're pretty small. There hasn't been a ton of selling, and it's just resting, then moving average catch up. It's getting real tight. And so we'll see if it can hold. I'd like for this to go sideways for a few more days and then maybe go from there. But this is looking pretty tight here, and you can see it looks very similar on the USD side, right? It's rolling over a little bit more just because it's keeping on par with Bitcoin, and if Bitcoin's pulling down, so is this one. On Polo, looks a little bit stronger than it does on Coinbase. Had a higher low here, so not too bad all around. I don't know if it's ready for a breakout per se. It's had a huge run. It's probably just needing to rest for a little while. All right, let's look at Neo. So looking at Neo 4-hour chart, popping in here, has been sitting very nice, putting this little consolidation, big volume break to the upside. And, that's a breakout in my opinion. That's a solid breakout. And here's what I've been watching for so long on NEO, this downtrend. Look at this long downtrend that we've been in since August versus Bitcoin. Now, we had the extreme lows, which, remember I was telling you guys, was the lows way back here to June and July. And this is when NEO was still ant shares, and it was like $5 here and $7 there. And so versus Bitcoin, it was just grossly undervalued in my opinion. It was at the lows, and it held that support level, which is nice. So I started getting even more bullish on NEO here in recent weeks and days. And the downtrend was the test, right? We had the nice rally right up to it. We paused for a few days. I really wanted it to break out above that. It's given us a few false starts here in the last couple of days. You can see these little wicks to the upside going. Maybe not, maybe not, maybe not. And then look at this. Boom. We got it. We got it today. NEO breaks out, and with some good volume, the pullbacks are constructive. And so we'll see if this keep going. Yeah, if we go to NEO, go to the resistance levels. Let me see here. Let me zoom out a little bit for you guys. So at this point, the first test was this resistance level, right? We're breaking that. The next test is going to be, this level up here around that 0.05 level, give or take. And so from this point up, that is another 22%. And if you translate that out to the USD side, now, of course, this assumes Bitcoin just sits tight or sits in range. But if you do that 22% from here, you're looking at about $93 NEO. If Bitcoin goes up, there it is, triple-digit NEO. I was talking about triple-digit NEO in 2018, but man, maybe we'll get it this year. There's still a chance. There is still a chance. But I'm a big fan of NEO, the project. I still like it. I believe in it's a longer term. And so we'll see. But look at this this daily chart on the USD side. I mean, this is just very strong, very bullish, breaking out, hitting new highs. And there we go. NEO. All right, let's look at a couple more here. Stratis. Yep. Let's take a look at Stratis. Stratis, look at that daily chart of Stratis is just inching out, trying to break out here. I'm bullish on Stratis right now. I'm liking it. And so this is looking pretty good on the daily. Not as strong as some of the other names, but hey, everything else has had these nice breakouts. Come on, Stratis, it's your turn. Like, we're waiting on you now. And so zooming in a little bit, we had that nice little rally yesterday, pausing a little bit right in this little bit of a base here. You can see the range it's in. It's very defined, right? The upper and the lower bounds. We're right in the middle here. And so it's looking like it wants to move higher. Let's see if it can. Looking at the 1 hour, we had a little bit of a false start here and pulled back and it's just kind of shaking out right now. So it's still very much range bound. But, if you look at Stratis on the USD side, it was already hitting new highs for some time now. It needed to cool off a little bit. The RSI was getting a little overheated. That's pulled right back to 67 now. The moving average is catching up. So I think it's certainly positioned at this point to have another leg up if we're going to see some more upside on this one. So Stratis is looking bullish. Let's see. Yeah, Power. Let's take a look at Power because I was liking the setup on this one. Did it break out already? Yes, it did. Power. So I was talking about this one earlier, and I was taking not that level, a little bit higher. And I was waiting for this bad boy to break out, and there it is. We had a false start. You can see that little wick came right back up, but the next candle popped it right over. And this one looks like it's going. And so here's the 4 hour of Power versus BTC. Looking very nice. The volume patterns here are so strong off the lows, right? Power had a pretty big correction, but you got to pay attention to these volume patterns. When you start seeing those signatures there like that, that tells you that it's being accumulated at the lows. So you saw this big wick right here with the volume coming in, that one there, and then here's the breakouts. And so bullish, very bullish on this stuff right now. And so we'll see how high it can go. It basically rallied right now, broke out right to that old high right there. That makes sense that it's where it's pausing right now. And maybe it consolidates here for a little bit. These are 4 hour bars, so we might need another 1 or 2 of these before it can get going. And if it breaks out, then you're looking at there's not a whole lot of resistance up until right around this level here, give or take. And from here, that's another 20, 34%, give or take, right? So, and who knows from there, maybe it goes to test the old highs and keeps going. It looks a lot like the chart of Cardano when it had that big low, settled out, and now starting to run. But I'm liking it. All right. So we talked power. Let's see here. Let me go through a few more of these. What do you guys got? What do you got for me here? Zcash. All the privacy coins are good today. I'm going to flip through them real quick. Not Zen. This one. And they've been good for some time. Look at this Zcash. Once it broke out of this base down here, look at this base right around that 330 mark or so. Just been marching along, making new highs. You can see I've got this blue line here. I was doing some measured moves earlier, and that's my upside target right there. $700 Zcash. We're almost there. So we'll see if we can make it, but it's close. So there's Zcash. Let's look at Monero, also one that's just basically doing the same thing, been marching along. And then you get this big pop to the upside. Generally speaking, don't want to scare you guys, but generally speaking, when you have an upper channel break, that's usually a sign of exhaustion, and it tends to be a sell signal for me. Not saying sell automatically, but you raise the stops at that point. You get cautious because we've been in this parallel channel for a very long time, and it's been marching up very nice, very constructively. And generally speaking, not always, but technical analysis is a game of probabilities. And you can see we finally, at the very top of the move, we have this big exhaustion buying. I'm thinking it needs to pause here at this point, maybe consolidate some more and go sideways instead of doing this crazy upward marching. And so you're starting to see a little bit of profit taking show up on Monero. You can see this bar right here and this bar right here. They both correlate with some big volume. And so there's some profit taking happening. So just raising your awareness. That's how I look at the charts. When I start seeing stuff like that, I get cautious. I don't buy that bar. Let me just put it that way. I wouldn't be buying Monero at these levels if I wasn't already on it. But hey, these are looking good. Let me see Dash. Dash is another one that's, I'm just loving Dash these days. Look at that. Pretty much the same pattern though, right? Just had this big move up after it broke out from that 3-something range. Just very nice, very steady, constructive action. And here we are breaking out to the top. Now, Dash, maybe Monero is kind of my number 2 choice of what's going to be hitting Coinbase next. I know Ripple's high on the list, but I keep thinking Dash is probably my number 2 choice right now. Bitcoin Cash was a little bit of a no-brainer. I figured that one would be added. But who's next? We'll see. Civic finally breaking the downtrend here after a long time. And here's what I like. Once they actually start breaking this downtrend, they gain a lot of momentum, right? The direction is changing finally. So it starts to stair step its way up. So Civic's looking pretty good. EOS still strong, crazy EOS just going, has pretty much bounced right into this big support / new resistance level. And we're pausing here, but very strong still. Couple more. What are we looking at? What do we? Omise Go. Let's see here. Omise Go again. Same thing. Finally broke that downtrend and just marching along. Look at the volume on this thing at the lows. Just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of 10 green bars with above average volume. I mean, that's a good move off the lows. That's amazing, right? I mean, just it's already up 100% off the lows. And, 100% is usually that's what you see when they're so oversold, but cool. Making new highs here on the USD side, pausing a little bit, needed to though. Pivx, another one of the privacy coins, still strong, coming off the lows versus BTC, marching along nicely, pausing right at some resistance here, but it looks good still. Let's see, 10x finally broke out of this pattern I was watching down here around 15.7 or so on the BTC chart, and here we are. Once that breakout happened, I mean, we're very quickly up 35%. But 35% these days, that's nothing. We're all spoiled now. We want the 100%ers. Quantum, come on. You guys were with me on Quantum, right? Man, that was I thought Quantum was probably my best trade of the week until Bcash came around. Oh man, but Quantum was was a very nice trade this week, and it's finally settling out here, but it still looks strong. You can see it putting a little bit of a bull flag consolidation. But this thing, same thing, right? You can see the volume pattern starting to pop up here. You saw it there, you saw it there, and it was just being bought up like crazy and just constantly being pushed to the upside. And so Quantum had a nice run. It needed a pause, finally did. It's, but I mean, this thing had just 100+%, just crazy move. Even off this consolidation down here around, the 142 level, if you would have just, caught that bull flag, that's 160% move in 2 days. You can't complain about that. And so we are putting a little bit of a bull flag. It needs to. It's pausing very constructively. So as long as this holds up, I'd be watching this one for a potential another leg up. And it's clearing resistance here. And once we make new highs versus Bitcoin, which is not that far away now, who knows? Sky's the limit at that point. Let's look at Cardano. Same thing. Wow. Man, oh man, Cardano. Even I was shocked. This thing, we thought this move back here was huge. Then it had this 300%. Wow. It's overdone right now, no doubt. I mean, it needs to rest. And these kind of moves, they need time to digest some of that and consolidate. But this thing just rocked all the way up the market cap. And so, this kind of leads me. Let me take a little bit of a segue here and talk about 2018, because there's a lot of thoughts about, hey, where's crypto going in 2018? We've had this record-breaking year. This year, the market cap went to $600 billion. And so, where are we going next? These ads really annoy me. I need to put the ad blocker on. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. Let me see here. So in 2018, some of my most bullish, attractive type of moves are going to be the platforms, right? And I'm looking at things like IOTA, Cardano, NEM, EOS, NEO, Quantum, right? Those are what I'm looking at. And even some of the smaller cap names, ARC, right? Decred, because I think it's going to be the year of blockchain being even more popular. This year was the year of cryptocurrency kind of going mainstream, and we've got Litecoin and Dash and all that. And some of these platforms, I mean, Ethereum, come on, right? Ethereum had an amazing year if you look at where it started the year. But there's going to be competition for Ethereum. There's going to be the next Ethereum. Everybody wants to be the Ethereum killer. And so I think that's going to be where it's at next year. And there's always going to be the currencies, right? Litecoin and Dash and some of those names. But that's where you're going to see some of this top 10 list really start to adjust itself. And I think some of those platforms, that's what I'm going to be watching the most next year. And so 2018, I'm going into that. Now, it's not fair for me to say it now, but a few days ago or even a week ago, at the top of my list for 2018 was Bitcoin Cash. Some of those I thought was just undervalued. Bitcoin Cash, even Dash, as big of a run as it's had, I think Dash is going to do well in 2018. And some of these others. So that's where I'm thinking. That's where I think we're going to go. But looking at the big picture, we've had a crazy move this year. And I mean, just look at the market cap. It's gone parabolic, right? And, even if we look at the log scale, it's still crazy. I mean, it's like we peaked out around 176 million, then we came down and we started just steadily marching up. And this was primarily Bitcoin, right? But the alts are definitely jumping in here recently. But I mean, this is just going huge, right? And do we hit $1 trillion? Yeah, somebody said a few months ago we'd hit $1 trillion by end of 2018, and that's at this point not a stretch anymore. But here's the but, right? Look at right here. We went from 176 down to 107. Substantial correction before we started marching higher. And so just keep that in mind. It could happen again, right? We could hit 600 and then we could correct down to 400 or something, and then start marching up again. So you got to keep that in mind. These things do not go straight up forever. There's going to be ebbs and flow along the way, and they're actually quite healthy. reset some of the overexcitedness, the exuberance, the people taking out mortgages to buy crypto. You got to reset some of that, reset some of the expectations. We're not going to see day after day after day of 100% gains on some of these names that are just popping. And I'm loving every minute of it, but we got to take some pauses along the way. And so make the trades while you can, enjoy it. And then when it looks like the market wants to take a break, then you take a break and you just chill out for a while. Don't start over trading it, trying to catch the next one, because then that's when you tend to just kind of chop up the accounts and mess it up. So my thoughts, 2018, I think will still be higher towards the end of the year, but I think somewhere between now and then, of course, there's going to be a pretty decent correction. It's just a matter of when that happens. Back to the charts. Let's look at what's next. NEM. We didn't look at NEM, and I'm liking NEM here. So yeah, it's still going, still strong. And this was really your signal. And it's hard because you look at something and it goes, oh man, I missed it, right? It went up 200%. Not necessarily, right? That's the early signal. You see NEM have this big pop, and then it pulls down, settles out, and you can see where I've gotten lines all over my charts. I apologize, but I'm always looking at these things, and this is what I was looking at, right? This little, it was consolidating right around back and forth around this 33.42 level, and that was really the area to start watching, and started head higher, and here we had the nice big breakout to the top, and we're still marching. And so NEM is still looking good. And I'm liking this one long term. They've made some good changes to the project. They're continuing to do some good marketing. They brought Alexandra on and just stuff like that, and it's looking good. So NEM has some stuff up their sleeves, folks, and I'm bullish on this one. It's good. Ripple. We didn't talk Ripple, but Ripple had that huge move. A lot of people think this will be the next one to be added to the GDAX, and we'll see if this is it, but putting a nice bull flag here. If it can hold this moving average right around that 0.07265 or so, might see another leg up on Ripple. Wow, could we see another leg up? It's bullish as heck. It certainly could. And here's versus BTC, kind of just edging up. So I'd be watching this though, because it looks a little cautious here, right, with this, and maybe puts in a lower high. You don't want to see that start to break down here. So, but still looking strong on the USD side. Vertcoin. So Vertcoin was watching this descending wedge pattern, finally broke out, kind of sitting tight right now, but not bad. It's actually looking pretty good here. Once it broke out of this pattern, that was it. That was your signal right there. You can see that, you know, this one of these two is down here, and it's just kind of been consolidating here, and it looks like it wants to start moving higher again. So looking pretty good here at this lows. I think that's it. I think we covered most of the ones I wanted. I'm gonna go ARK. All right, I'll do ARK. Haven't done ARK yet. And yeah, had a nice breakout, was very strong, pulling in right now. I think this is a secondary entry point in my opinion. There's the 1 hour. If it can hold this 42.8 level or so, 42 give or take on the BTC chart, you can see that rally. Now this is making new highs on the USD side, and this is one of those charts that had that big long-term downtrend, and then the big volume started coming in off the lows. And you know, even if it pulls in pretty good, as long as this downtrend holds, and you're going to start seeing it potentially stair step its way up. Very similar to like we saw some of the other names when they turned the corner there. And so versus BTC, they may outperform. Now you just got to always keep in mind, if Bitcoin drops 20% or 30%, this thing better outperform. Otherwise, you're kind of just net down, right? You want this to start going higher as BTC drops. Otherwise, you're kind of net loser fiat value. You would have been better off just parking on the side and then getting in at a lower price. IOTA, we'll do IOTA, and then we will go ahead and wrap it up. I just wanted to bring you guys a quick update on these markets with the craziness going on. I'm watching IOTA here. You can see we've had this couple of stair steps and still sitting tight. It's in a little bit of a range here. You can see where I got the line. It's not exact, you know, kind of give or take. You can expand that. The reason I had this lower is because I'm watching this new tighter range here. It needs to really hold this, you know, this 288 to 284 level. If it starts to break down, especially below this most recent low at 282, then you're going to see some downside. So that's got to hold. On the 4-hour chart, you can see how strong it looks though, right? The big volume and then just kind of the consolidation here. And that was a nice move off the lows, right? We had this big downtrend pop. Now we're consolidating. So it looks good. All right, folks, ladies and gentlemen, I cannot get to them all right now, but if I keep these short, I can do more of these, and I would be happy to. And so just wanted to check in with you guys, and I will be back when the market gets fun again and crazy. Let's see what Bitcoin does. Let's look at Bitcoin one more time. Is it done? Is it done going down? I think it's due for a bounce. So if you missed the beginning here, I was talking about Bitcoin trying to hold this 16K level. This is a critical level right now. We're in this kind of make or break zone. So it's got to pop to the upside. 16.9 will start to be the early confirmation, ultimately 17.6. This is not a bad place for me to be looking at it right now. I'm thinking looks like finding some support, and it's very clear, right? If it breaks below this 16K level on a closing basis, then it's not done going down. And looking at some of the retracement levels, if it doesn't bottom out here, I expect we'll see kind of this Fibonacci retracement level tested, and that's going to be right around 14.5, give or take, right? So it's certainly in the realm of possibility here, but maybe we get a bounce and then we start to test the old highs. So, all right, folks, thanks for joining, and I will talk to you next time. Take care, everyone.